Hello everyone. In this session, we will discuss the definitions of probability: classical, relative and axiomatic. So the definitions of probability, the three definitions. The first one, classical or a priori probability. Second one, statistical or empirical probability or relative frequency approach. Third one, axiomatic approach to probability. So first let us discuss the classical definition of the probability. So classical definition of the probability was given by Bernoulli, and it states that the probability of any event P of A is equal to number of favorable outcomes by total number of possible outcomes. And how should be this set? It should be equally likely, mutually exclusive and exhaustive. So to understand these three, we will consider the example. So example of tossing a coin. So when we toss a coin, we may get head or tail. So sample space will consist of head and tail. And if we define a event A of getting head, then the probability of A will be equal to 1 by total possible outcomes 2. Or we can also write it as P of H is equal to 1 by 2 and P of T is equal to 1 by 2. Now let's understand the equally likely term. Equally likely means, see here, the probability of head as well as the probability of tail both are same. Both are equally likely. And coming to the mutually exclusive, if a head falls, the tail won't appear, and if a tail falls, we cannot see the head. So both are mutually exclusive. The occurrence of one event makes the chances of other event 0. And exhaustive. So you perform this experiment, tossing the coin any number of times. You may get a head or a tail, not outside this sample space. So the tossing a coin is a perfect example for this classical definition of your probability. The other example what we can take is rolling dice. So when we roll the dice also, our sample space will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the probability of getting each and every side is equally likely, and they are mutually exclusive and exhaustive. And why do we call it as a priori probability? So why we call it as an a priori? Because without performing the experiment, here what I am saying, tossing a coin. So I am considering a case of tossing a coin, and I am giving out you the sample space as well as the probability of each and every event. But actually I am not tossing the coin. So before the experiment is done, I am able to give the probability of the various events. So this is what is a classical or a priori probability. Now next is the limitations of the classical definition. So what is the limitation? The first one is event should be equally likely. Means what? Each and every time you can apply this classical definition when the events are equally likely. For example, I am going out of the house. So me meeting any accident may not be equally likely. So that's the reason most of the real time examples may not be having equally likely events. And the second one is, if the total number of outcomes are infinite, then also this classical definition of probability will not become valid. So these two are the limitations of the classical or a priori definition of probability. And the second is what is your probability as relative frequency. Now you already have seen that classical definition was based on purely likely equally events. Now, in real time, we do not find all the events to be equally likely events. So then, in order to find out the probability of equally likely events, we use this relative frequency approach. For example, a company manufacturing some item. So the items may be defective or non-defective. So the probability of the defective items are not equally likely with the probability of the non-defective items. So purely this is an example for not equally likely. And similarly, another example what we can take is company shares. So company shares may increase or decrease. They are mutually exclusive, but they are not equally likely. So in these two examples, whatever we have discussed, we cannot use the classical definition. So here we use the relative frequency approach. So in the relative frequency approach, the probability is based on the calculation of probability is based on the past experience or data or the statistics available with us. So here, how do you find out the probability of any event? The probability of the event is equal to, of any event A is equal to relative frequency by total number of cases. So that also can be written as P of A is equal to limit n tends to infinity n of A by n. Now, what should be this denominator n? The total number of cases. It should approach infinity. It should be a very high value in order to calculate the P of A. So, for example, if a company is producing some 1000 items and in the 1000 items there are 10 defective. For example, assume that there are 10 defective items out of 1000. So how do you calculate the probability of defective? The probability of defective items is equal to 10 by 1000, which is equal to 1 by 100, very small. Now, if we use this relative frequency approach to tossing a coin. So now if I am tossing a coin for 10 times, 6 times I am assuming that 6 times I am getting head and 4 times I am getting tail. So what is the probability of the head? 6 times I am getting the head. So 6 by how many times did I do the trial? 10 times. So 6 by 10, which is equal to 0.6. And the probability of tail is 4 by 10, which is equal to 0.4. So here already, like from the classical example or classical definition of probability, we have seen that probability of head is equal to 50%. So here in the relative frequency approach, that is the reason the number of trials should be a very high value. So for example, I am tossing the coin for some 1000 times, limit n tends to 1000. Then the number of times, like the probability of the head, can be calculated as some 0.5, approximately you may get it as 0.5. And here one more thing to be observed is the probability when you are calculating with the relative frequency approach, we are calculating the probability after we do the experiment. After we do the experiment, so that is the reason we call it as a posterior also. And it is based on the past experience or the data with us. Now the limitations of relative frequency approach. So first thing, in relative frequency approach, the definition is not precise. because the experiment needs to be done a large number of times and usually it is not possible. So that is the reason we go for the third one, which is axiomatic approach to probability. And this axiomatic approach to probability gives the set of rules which are based on the set theory. So first axiom, axiom 1 states that the probability is not negative, non-negativity. Means what? The probability of event A is always non-negative. P of A is greater than or equal to 0. And second one, second axiom, P of S is equal to 1. Certainty means what? When we do the experiment, the outcome should be present in the sample space S. So capturing this, we say that the probability of event S is equal to 1. Any number of times you perform the experiment, the outcome should lie in the sample space. Next one, axiom 3. So axiom 3 is the additivity axiom. So additivity axiom says that when the two events are disjoint, that is when A intersection B is equal to a null set, then P of A union B is equal to P of A plus P of B. So here additivity axiom says that we can add probabilities if their intersection is null. I repeat, we can add probabilities if their intersection is null. So we have done classical, relative and axiomatic definitions of the probability and also seen the examples and the limitations of all these three definitions. Thank you all.